Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryang Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Imagine that you're given a house and you look around you and there are other houses too, and they're all different. And everyone is moving into their house at the same time. And so are you. And so you notice that some are not happy about their houses, so there's some commotion. And maybe you're not too happy about your house. But you ask the real estate agent, why did I get this house? Why did I not get another house? And he says, because that was the house given to you. And the other houses are given to other people. And you say, well, my house is not that big. It's a crummy house falling apart. Can I get another house? And the agent says, no, this is the house given to you. And so you have a little quarrel with him, trying to negotiate a better house. But the agent is firm. The house is given to you for the next 90 years. And you kind of say, okay, let me walk inside my house. Maybe I will see something that will surprise me. You open the door and the door falls down. Not a good sign. First thing is the smell overtakes your senses. So not a good sign. Number two. The furniture is old in the bedroom. The bed is infested with fleas. But then the bathroom is spotless. And you go, oh, at least I have a good, clean, smelly, perfumed bathroom. The bedroom is also fantastic. New furniture, polished leather, well-placed furniture, spacious, room to breathe. Then you look at the back of the house and there's a garden, and it's a mess. There are weeds everywhere, overtaking the windows. And so you say, oh, my sight, the ability to see the world clearly, is overtaken by weeds. Okay. And so you hang out this house and you start to learn that it is your house. You start to accept this is a house given to me. Now the question is, some rooms are okay, some rooms are not okay at all, some rooms are somewhere in between. What do you do with this house? It's your house. Do you complain? Why did I get such a house? In fact, suppose you got a castle and everyone else around you has gotten an average house. Do you think that would be a necessary advantage for you? If you have gotten a castle, you walk inside the castle and it's gold chandeliers and the polished floors, and also there's carpet, clean, it's brilliant. Everything about it just says this is majestic, well-earned, well-deserved house. Could that be an advantage if you think about it? Considering everyone around you, on average, has an average house. Because now the person walks in and they start to, what do you think might happen? Might one start to get grateful for having received a majestic house? Or might one start to, almost developed a complex about what it means that I've gotten a better house than everyone else, that I must perhaps be superior. I must be in some way important. Whereas if I get a crummy house, then you have to renovate it, don't you? You want your house to be clean. Okay, it's not a pleasant thing to have a smelly house. So you learn the hard work, the principles of asking for help, of saying, hey, this house is not clean. How can I clean it up? You ask the first question, what is needed to clean this up? You learn the art of commitment, committing to clean up my bedroom, to clean up all the fleas. And so you learn the principles of hard, smart work, of humility, that I did not get the house across the door, the castle. I now have to work at it. And you realize soon, in about 10 years, that the neighbor who's gotten the castle, though it is a castle, everyone around them is just kind of pleasant and down to earth. But the neighbor's got some complex issues. I am and then they put a label onto themselves. If they live in a particular country, they might say, and have a complex, I'm a Brahmana label, for example. I'm a doctor, I am a teacher, I am a accountant, I am a lawyer. And you discover, I'm glad that I didn't get that castle, because there are so many wonderful things that I've discovered about myself, about principles of hard, continuous efforts, by having this crummy house, starting off with it, and then having to renovate it. In fact, I learned there was no choice but to renovate my house. What was the only other choice? Your neighbor asks. And you answer, the only other choice was to complain, to say how unlucky I am, and not get anywhere. But you decided to renovate your house, to not turn to the path of complaining and comparing and saying how unlucky you are. You've turned to the path of saying, thank you. I did get a house, and I was given the chance to work things through, to clean up my act. And so this house represents your body, represents your parents, represents the environment in which your body was born in, represents the religions that were imposed upon you. You had no choice. Wherever you were born, that was just part of the culture. You were imposed a religion. Maybe not even imposed, maybe just simply told about principles of life. You were not told about some principles, you were told about other principles. That's because of the house that you were given. Situations thus will come, because some people will look at your house on the outside, and some of the things you cannot repair. They are almost, there's no parts to repair your house. And then someone else comes over and says, and they judge you, and they say, oh, you're probably not taking care of your house because your porch is broken, your balcony is falling apart. But they do not see inside your house. Inside your house, you have taken the time to renovate it, to move around the furniture, to get things just right, to develop a fresh breathing space, to remove those ticks, those fleas, which we call our impressions that are not useful. You've taken that time, but most do not see inside your house, they only see outside your house. And so you ask yourself, can I do anything about it? And you say, no, because everyone else's house is just like mine. There are certain parts that are non-replaceable, but mostly they are. Most of the parts that are replaceable happen to be inside the house, not outside. And that, or inside the house is where your locus of management lies. And so you start to own up to this idea that, thank you, that I've been given what I've been given. What do I do about this? Not, oh, why did I get this? Why not that? Rather, someone comes up to you and says, hey, you know why you got this house? This is a clever neighbor. And they say to you, that's because it's your karma. And you say to them, you know, I've heard this phrase so many times before. Can you please at least follow that up with, what do you mean by it's your karma? And they say to you, because they're a smart neighbor, it just means it's a consequence of your past actions. The house that you have gotten is like a bill, unpaid dues that you are now paying. It's a bill that you have gotten. And so being given this wonderful place, you say, what do I do about this? Yes, it is your karma. Follow that question up with, or statement with, and what do I do about that fact? It is your karma. I know that. Thank you very much. I've heard that before 10,000 times. What do you do about that? That's the only question. Now that I've been given this house with full ability for renovation, what do I do about it? And for how long will I renovate it? You see, some neighbors, they renovate their house for 1 year. And they say, you know, I worked hard enough and I'm going to rest. And they've got 50 more years of non-renovation. But the neighbors across the street, they have continued to renovate for the extra 49 years. Now, the fella who renovated for 1 year, 49 years later, they get jealous. Oh, you're so lucky. The other guy says, no, I'm not. I just worked an extra 49 years that you've rested. We both started off renovating our house, but I didn't stop. Further, some renovate for different reasons. Some of us renovate to be compared to other houses. The renovation is not there to, you know, for my own pleasure. It is to be given a big smile by the neighboring house, a big wow. I want a big wow headed towards my way. While the rest of us, we renovate not for impressing other owners, we renovate because we value healthy psychology, healthy inner clean space, a spacious mind. I value that. It's got nothing to do with you. You can say whatever you want about my broken porch, broken balcony. What I care about is, where do I live in my house 99.9% of the time? And therefore, that house I want cleaned up. For whose sake? For my sake, not for your sake. Because you're too busy cleaning up your house, this is my life given to me for a short time, and I will make the most of it. Why? Because I'm asking one more question. Now, having been given what I'm given, what will I do about it? Without this question, what happens? Pessimism. Why did I get this? This house is better. I want a castle. It's not useful. 49 years of pessimism. And then you say, you know, I could have spent these 49 years just working on my house. And thus the path of the wise one is such. Using what I've been given with gratitude and making the best of it. And this is what it means to say your prarabdha karma is given to you for this life. You're given a certain house, renovate it, make the most of it. And the second prarabdha definition is, not only are you given a house, but you're given talents, natural, innate talents that are normal, familiar to you. And these talents manifest as behaviors. For instance, you might behave very calmly in the face of threat. Someone else may naturally go into fight or flight or freeze mode. And thus, prarabdha is not only the things that you have been given, the body, the parents, the environment, the genetics, the gender, your height, hair color, eye color, healthy senses. These are all given to you. What will you do about it? That's the only question. And the second is, what are your innate talents? This is also given to you. So this means that if you come with certain innate talents and you look at the house over there and that person is a mechanic and you try to replicate the mechanic because they're getting all the customers and you say they're making a lot of money, so I want to therefore become a mechanic. If you try to do that, you might succeed, but you will quickly discover that it's not a good place to live in your very house because you're given talents that are very different from a mechanical mind. So then you start to sit down on that lovely sofa that you were given and you ask yourself the question, what do I want? What do I want? Confronting question, but very simple. What do I want? Not somebody else, not my parents, not my siblings, not what I want so I can impress someone. What do I want? What is my unique signature in this world? What is my unique talent, my unique shine in this world? Where do I shine? Forget about children or spouse in this moment. What do I want? And you realize very soon that in so asking that question, you don't have to distance yourself from other houses. You just get very clear. You get very focused on your uniqueness. And then you say, now that I'm a little bit more clear, what is valuable, what's important for me, not what I've been told, what's important by the society or the culture. What's important for me? Where do I want to make a difference? What is that calling in me? You listen to that because that is why your house is being given to you in the first place, to discover the answer to that question. Thereby, you quickly discover that this house being graced to you by your prior punya papam causes is your gift. What will you do with this gift? This is what is meaning to be given a head start, and everyone is given a head start by the mere fact of being given a house. And no matter how crummy the house is, no matter how much chaos is inside it, there's always chance to renovate it. Even moving the furniture sofa 1 centimeter is better than having it stay still. There's always something that can be done. This is true all the time. So there's never a moment in your house, if you think about it, until the roof blows because of a tornado, there's never a chance or a time when you cannot move something in that house. That means as long as you're given this body, this mind, something can be done. Something little can be changed. And that is your privilege. Therefore, the only question that stands is, what are you going to do about it? The only other question or side to that is complaining. It's that simple. Now, how do two karmas come together? Suppose that you come with, suppose a person comes with prarabdha, or a certain kind of trust equals safety. In fact, trust equals safety is normal human behavior for all. But suppose it's excessive, like trust, the moment there's trust, don't check equals safety. This person also comes with lack of discernment. Therefore, the moment I trust someone, it is safe to do so. They are safe. I am safe in their presence because I trust them. They said a few words and I trust them. Therefore, trust equals safety, but at the same time, I came with lack of discernment. That is, suppose, my prarabdha karma, suppose. Somebody else comes with prarabdha karma, and it says trust equals profit. Interesting combination. Trust equals profit. So now, what do you think will happen when a person who came with the idea, trust equals safety, and a person who comes with trust equals profit, what happens when they come together? That's called a thief.
Someone takes opportunity over the other.
One takes an opportunity. That's called a thief. Oh, they trust. Okay. Let me exercise a few charming words upon you, and instantly you trust me. Trust equals profit. Now, there's a transaction. That's all that happened. A transaction has happened because my karma is trust equals profit, and their karma is trust equals safety. So now if you think about this, there is no real villain, is there? Nor a victim. It's just simply two karmas coming together and a transaction has occurred. You don't even have to call it a victim or a villain. It's just a system that doesn't care who deserves what. Oh, you deserve to be taken advantage of. Therefore, you're going to get punished. Remove these words completely. Punished, rewarded, just remove it. The system doesn't care because it's not a being. Ishvara is not a being who cares. Oh, I care about you. This is our idea. There's some being who cares about me and is protecting me. The system doesn't care what you deserve. This whole language, you deserve it, or you're being rewarded, or you're being punished. Remove this language just for a moment and look at it like this. Two karmas come together. One of them, trust equals safety, trust equals profit, come together, a transaction happens. But now you say, well, what about the thief? Doesn't sound fair, does it? Well, you see, the way that this system works is that no one is outside it. So you can't kind of just say, oh, okay, so now I've gotten away with the money, with whatever it is, and I'm just gonna just have a good time. Soon enough, the bill catches up on you. That bill comes to you knocking on your door, on your house, the door, and it says, hello, the delivery man. We'll call this bill the delivery man. And you have no choice but to open up that door and to take the bill. And on the bill, you see the thief who says trust equals profit, sees paranoia. You got to pay for paranoia. You got to pay for fear of being caught. You got to pay for overconfidence, which will now cause me to engage one more time, increasing the chances of being caught. You got to pay for low self-esteem. You got to pay for just a general shame in character. And it says Jew, Jew. And you say, when Jew? Whenever. But you got to pay that. And then the thief very quickly realizes, oh no, I've been caught. The system has targeted me. I am a victim. Now, what does a thief often do? They start to blame the society. Now it's the victim versus the villain. Now they're the victim and the society is the villain. But the system doesn't look at it like this. It's simply an impersonal, bill-based system. It hands out bills to everyone according to what has happened in the past. And then you say, okay, I'm on the receiving end. What do I do about this? That's the only question that matters. It doesn't matter what your bill is or how long that bill is. What do I do about this? Thereby, the system is what we call Ishvara's infallible order. Ishvara makes no mistakes. Who gets what? It just simply hands out bills to everyone. And nobody can escape this. There's not one person here who's listening now who's not getting a bill on a daily basis. Not one. Because no one is outside Ishvara's order. Knowing that, the wise person in verse 19, it says that though actions are undertaking, he is free from the consequences, or he or she is free from the consequences of the bill. So now, what do you mean by that? Does this mean I can do whatever? As a body and a mind, no, the bill is still there. But as you, your nature, that bill is no longer yours. Thereby, they are free of this bill, and for this reason, they no longer receive a new body because the bill always goes towards a body. But now recognize that I am not this body. nor this mind, nor this person who's receiving, nor this house, I am free of the bill. And so if the verse 19 was about attitude towards how you look at results, that means your prarabdha karma, though keeps on giving you the bill, you're okay with it because it cannot be stopped. Once you release the arrow will face that trajectory and will keep traveling towards the target. You cannot stop that. So recognizing that even when the arrow hits that trajectory, it has not affected me. But now the question is, what is a wise person's attitude towards actions? And the answer is, they don't give up actions, they give up the anxiety of results. So let's look at verse 20. Tyaktva karmapala sangam nitya tripto nirashrayaha karmanya bhi pravartopi naiva kinchit karoti sa.
Giving up the deep attachment to the results of action, always contented, being not dependent on anything. He or she does not do anything, even though fully engaged in action.
Suppose you're a wise person. What is your attitude towards results of actions? See, when we say results of actions, we're just speaking about what happens to you on a daily basis. Okay, so wherever you are on the road, that's a result because you're getting result of car drivers. When you're at the shopping mall, that's a result because you've got to deal with, whoever's around there. Maybe it's a long checkout. That's a result. When you are at, a doctor's office, you got to, that's a result because others may be coughing in you and now you may catch their cold. So, it's a constant result. So everything is really just a happening in this world. So the question is, knowing everything is a happening in this world, how do I have this ease towards what's happening? Because if you think about it, where does most anxiety come from for a person? It's about what happens, isn't it? It's about what is happening right now. It's about what's going on, what's confronting me, what's showing up. That's where most anxiety is spent. Who said what? In what tone? That's the result. So that's where 99% of all anxiety comes. So naturally, you have to ask then, what is a wise person's, the one who's figured it out and who is figuring it out all the time, because the mind never stops figuring things out. What is their attitude towards what is constantly happening? And the answer is, it's not towards what happens. Because when can you really alter what's happening? Can you really tell that person at a doctor's office, stop coughing? Because the irony is you would then cause even more distress to everyone, right? It's a weirdo. So you cannot change what is happening to you. We have to just kind of just have a moment for once and say, let me just really bring this down, what it means that there's no point trying to change what is going on because I'm too small in this world to have any real impact, number one. The only real impact you can really have is about your attitude about what is happening. So with a wise person, or where we can now collectively in this class start to find peace, is not in what is happening to you, but it is in the kind of intention. What is the intention behind the actions that I am doing in this world? This is a huge shift. Look at this. The common way is my happiness is contingent on what is happening. My sense of peace is contingent on and dependent upon what happens in life, what happens, who says what, in the way that they say it, that my child gets an A+ in school, is contingent on that. That I wake up 6 o'clock every morning and do my workout, it's contingent on that. You don't control that because tomorrow you can have weather, like a rainy day, and you got to stop, not go out anymore for a while. So where is then your permission slip, your green light to find peace in life? This is a huge question because this is the heart of whether one feels a constant sense of anxiety or a relief amidst results that most of the time are not pleasing. That is, what kind of action, what kind of intention is behind my action? I'll give you an example. Suppose that someone that you care about is in trouble, okay? And you want to naturally help them. It's not possible to not want to help them because you're a human being. You want to help them. And they don't like you for that because they believe that you are hindering their happiness. As we know in the Gita, when someone has a desire for something, when you suppress that desire, what comes up? Anger, right? Anger comes up because you're suppressing me. My happiness, my sense of existence is contingent on the desire happening. So when you try to help someone that you love, you might encounter most of the time anger. Right? We know this. Okay. So now suppose that they are just very much into some fishy business, okay? And there's no way that they see what they're into. Maybe you see it, but they don't see it. Okay. Now suppose the only way to get them out is by using deception. That means you have to kind of violate a few rules, kind of like Yudhishthir, who had to say that Ashwatthama is dead, right? So he had to kind of use a little bit of deception to accomplish what is good for everyone. Now, suppose you get found out by this person who loves you and you love, who's close to you, and they hate you. That's not pleasant, is it? They hate you. Where is your fallback? Is it in, oh, I failed, I should have not done this? Or the intention of my action was to help you? That's where my peace lies. My intention, though deceptional, it was still to help you, to get you out, because I can see something that you can't see. And so even if you hate me, sorry, but that has no bearing on me, because my permission slip for peace is in a kind of intention that was behind the action. That's where my peace lies. I hope you can appreciate the difference. How might this impact your way of living, where most of the efforts are contingent on you doing something good and then being recognized for it? Oh, you care about me. Oh, I cannot believe that you sacrifice so much to kind of pull me out of this, this thing. Oh, you're so smart. You're the greatest. I cannot believe that you researched, you invested your time for me to help me out. How many times you actually hear this from someone? Never. People don't speak like this. They get angry at you. How dare you? And they call you names. So even though your action was well-informed, well-intended, the thing is, usually it's not received or even appreciated one bit. So now, because that's going to be the case 99% of the time, and one day when they finally realize that's called death, which you're not going to even hear their words of thank you by then, what is your only solution? Your only way out is to say, you know what? I give myself permission to feel okay, that my intention was not to hurt you, it was to help you. Now, whether you can see that or not, that is not my thing. I came from a place of preserving the harmony of what is good for everyone, you and everyone else. That's where my intention lies. And so you protect yourself like this. Therefore, when it says the jnani gives up attachment to the results of action, it just means he or she recognizes that life doesn't reward you for good actions. It doesn't say, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. It just responds however it wants to respond, despite your good actions. Yes, life, of course, rewards us for good actions, but in terms of acknowledging that your actions are good, that hardly is the case. Therefore, my peace is contingent on knowing that the kinds of actions that I do for you, for myself, is coming from a good place, an intention to heal, not to hurt, intention to integrate, not to disintegrate, intention to educate, not to misinform, intention to bring together, to unify, not to divide. You may not see that. I'm sorry, but that is not my concern, because I'm already got so many things in my life that I cannot be concerned what you think. All that I'm concerned with is my actions come from a good place. In this manner, could you now, in this moment, come to an agreement with yourself to have this slight shift in where do you find your peace? Is it in what happens or in the well-intendedness of your actions? Where would you like to put that permission slip? In which side?
The well-intendedness.
Well-intendedness. I hope we're on the same page. Therefore, next time someone screams at you or doesn't appreciate you, where will your mind go? Because you need a fallback. I know how the mind works. We all know how the mind works. He goes, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, you might say that. That's fine. But where will your mind follow up next when someone doesn't treat you with what you believe is the right way to be treated? Where will your mind go? I hope it's on the well-intendedness of my action, because that well-intendedness is Ishvara speaking. That is Ishvara's word. Ishvara does.
I could also have a blind spot.
You could also have a blind spot. Okay. Would you like to say more about that? Because I know where this is going.
Like, I think intention is important. At the same time, it's possible that I am missing something in what's happening. For example, if I am well-intended, but if my actions are resulting in maybe a pattern of problems all over, maybe there is something I'm missing, and it's quite possible. And if I just keep on looking at, okay, I'm well-intended, maybe that's just my ego feeling happy about my well-intended rather than actually looking at what the situation is. Maybe something needs to be done.
Absolutely crucial what Gagan's bringing up. And the truth is, do you ever believe, for all of us, the question is, that your action will ever have all the information packed inside it? Never. Therefore, it's unrealistic to expect, because expecting is another result. Expecting that your result, that your action will create a perfect response. Because even if you're well-intended, I can guarantee you right now, we can all agree, your action as well as intended as it is, it's still lacking more information than it has included. Because you're busy. You don't have time to research 20 years and go, okay, so let me plan this out like army style strategic precision, and then I'll put an action. By then, they're dead, right? So you can only do with what you can do. Life is too busy, too fast, keeps moving forward. So all you can do is put the best possible intention, then you will get a feedback, and then based on the feedback, of course, in that moment, in that heat of the moment, the knowledge will not be there. This is most likely there. It's not going to be there. But when the mind calms down, then one might reflect on what has happened and slightly adjust their understanding so that the next time it happens, you are responding automatically more informed. This is a wonderful approach to how to put an action, get feedback, refine, again, put a new action based on what you have learned from your refinements, again, get feedback. Each time like that, you will learn something new. But there will never be a time when you do something that has a perfectly well-intended consequence. Even Krishna, this is important, he could not convince Karna to join the Pandavas, his brothers. He could not convince Duryodhana to stop his self-destruction. Krishna saw you are destroying yourself. I see it daylight clear. It's like laid out on the table. And he was as forthcoming, as gentle, as strict sometimes, as helpful as humanly possible. In fact, not humanly possible, as godly possible. And still, Duryodhan did not budge. This is a huge lesson, what it means to where will you find your peace? It cannot be in your advice having been taken. If you don't take my advice, then I will feel miserable. Therefore, you got to take my advice. Not going to work because people are not going to take your advice. People are not going to listen to you, even if you come from years and years of experience in that particular area. That's just a fact. So it's unrealistic to expect things to go my way, or to be listened to, or to be taken seriously sometimes, or to be seen as this wise, well-informed, experienced person. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. So we have to turn that permission slip for cheerfulness and self-reassurance to come from my well-intended action. Even though it is never quite well-informed, it is still a well-intended action. Ishvara is not asking you to play the role of Ishvara. Ishvara is asking you, play the role of yourself. Play the role of your limited self, your limited mind. That's all you need to do. Okay, Carrie?
Well, it's just in my experience, I have found that you really have to recognize that your role is very limited. If you try to help somebody, it will not work. They have to help themselves. And, the best thing you can do is, if you want to give someone money, then drop it in the gutter in front of their house so that they see it and pick it up and think that they found it. Because if you give people something, they will not appreciate it. Most people. Now, there are people who are wise and people who are smart, and they will listen if you give them advice. But an awful lot of people, I don't know what to say, maybe they're just stupid, but they will not listen to you, and they'll be angry. It'll make everything worse. So you have to somehow not give anyone don't let them know that you're helping them.
Okay. Let me also bring that onto ourselves now, because whenever we speak about others, we have to balance that out by also speaking about ourselves. Otherwise, the discussion becomes about others. You see, even if, suppose you give me something, okay, or I give you something, and I come from a well-intended place, and you have a certain blind spot, you might not even see me. You might not see me in that moment. You might see me as your enemy. You see?
But so often also, you could have helped someone and you think, oh, I just want to help them. No, what you really want to do is to manipulate them.
Yeah. So the point is this. See, we always do things for our own sake, even when you give to someone, okay? You want to kind of be recognized. So we do things, there's a certain agenda there, but it's the human condition because everyone is born with a certain limitation. And you cannot quite expect, none of us can quite expect that anyone can come from a place of non-pressure. The fact is everyone is coming from a certain pressure, a certain kind of, I want this to happen. So let's admit that first, right here, right now, so that we're not sort of better than anyone else because we're all collectively on the same boat, okay? So in other words, we have to kind of come to a little bit of understanding that everyone is just trying to meet their unmet needs. That's it. Can you like negate this statement? Everyone is just trying to meet their unmet needs. And that will come through with all sorts of methods, helping you, manipulation, and they may not even know it. I may not even know it, but it's still working in the background. So let's bring this conversation onto ourselves now. Where is my intention coming from? As long as it is to help you, look at this, even if it is to help you because I care about you and because I need you, isn't that still an agenda on my part?
Mm-hmm.
It is. So look at this. I want to help you because I have more information and it's the right thing. You may not see it, but I see it. And I want to help you. It is an agenda coming from me, but it's still helping you. So it's okay. Even if there's an agenda, it's not always all sort of, manipulation. So we have to change the word manipulation also. So we're just trying to kind of, survive and meet our needs and be happy. And we're doing the best that we can. And everyone's like this, really. If you talk to any person, you just realize, my goodness, I was idealizing you. But at the end of the day, you're just trying to meet your needs, your unmet needs. Yeah, so it becomes okay. And this has always been the case with everyone at all times, past, present, and future.
To get clearer on this, for me, the term well, as in well-intended, probably needs to be defined for me, because it seems as though it's getting blurry where it's not blurry, it's getting crossed where everyone must be well-intended by the definition of everyone trying to meet their needs, which I agree with. And therefore, there's no such thing as being well-intended, that it's just intent, which I suppose is the direction of this inquiry. If we're all just doing the best we can, not to be used as an excuse, but just to acknowledge that everybody, regardless of outcome or delineation on whether intent is good or not, I'll leave it there.
We can use an example of Duryodhana. Duryodhana was thinking, my actions are well-intended. But his definition of well-intended was very different than Krishna's actions. His actions were, Duryodhana's actions, well-intended was, my needs, like everyone else, but disregarding the needs of other people too. And almost kind of creating inconvenience to satisfy my needs. So that means others have to lose out in order for my needs to be met. People call that well-intended. Now, that is well-intended, but it's only half well-intended. So we have to complete that equation. A true well-intended action is one that, though I'm just trying to meet my needs, I also, in so doing, help you. For instance, suppose there's a teacher who is meeting their needs of, they love to teach, suppose. And that is healthy for them because that keeps their mind very sharp. But also in so doing, the listeners are benefiting a lot from that. That's a well-intended action also, but it includes both sides. So in that way, as the mind matures and it starts to come out of its own fancies that I'm just going to, kind of exclude everyone for my sake, as you come out of that, as we, kind of mature more up, then naturally the well-intended definition itself is going to modify. So there is no formula to it, but it does change. A child's well-intended action or a teenager's is very different than, an adult's well-intended action. Leo.
I just like to bring up also like how well do you think about your intention? So I'll just give a quick example. I'll have a friend who told me a story that there was an old lady or man, I don't know, walking out of the supermarket holding a trolley full of food. And she said, "Let me help you with the trolley." And the person's going, no, please don't. I'm okay. No, let me help. And she insisted, and she grabbed the trolley off the person and started pushing it towards the car. So the person went and grabbed an empty trolley because he or she was actually using the trolley as a walker, like for support. So, she had the best intention, but she didn't listen to the person who was saying, I actually don't need your help. Like I got a reason for doing this. So it all becomes very muddled. But I think, but how do you distinguish? Maybe the person, like you said, if you see crystal clear that the person is doing something wrong, maybe they just can't see it. But then again, maybe they have a reason for doing what they're doing that you can't see. So
yeah, it's amazing how we muddle things up, don't we? We tell ourselves a story that I'm, well-intended action, and it is a well-intended action, but at the same time, I'm disregarding the, the true sovereignty of another person. So we tell ourselves stories for our kind of, to feel better about it. And this is exactly what Duryodhana was saying. He was telling himself a story that I deserve more. Pandavas don't deserve anything. And you just sort of buy the story. It becomes an orientation, and then we start to form this a distrust for other people, and that becomes very hard to now actually make friends or to even have a mature conversation, because there's always a secret agenda in the name of, but while I'm doing something good, like I want to help you, but we call this, what is sycophants, right? I want to help you, but I'm building my brand. So I'm going to hang out with you. I'm helping you. All the time there's this, kind of this idea in the future, which in itself is okay, because the person needs that experience. Remember how two karmas coming together? They need that experience. So in a way, you're a teacher to them, for them to figure out this is not the right way to live. So everyone is really just teaching everyone else what is the right way and what's the right intention behind an action. Ain't it? We're all just teachers to each other. So you let me do something that is not well intended, even though I think it is, and then I do that, and I go, this was not the right thing to do. Then I let you do something that is that you think is well intended, but it's not really well intended, and then you figure out that's not the right thing to do. So we are all really just here teaching each other how to discern things without muddling things up. That's another way to look at it. That it's not all bad. It's not all, manipulation. It's not all evil out there. We're just doing the best that we can out of our own pressures. But if there's one thing for sure, everyone is helping everyone else. Where did Krishna say? He says the whole universe is a yajna, an offering. Everyone is just a teacher to everyone else. If you look at it like this, at least, I was just showing you what kind of a person do I really want to be, and what kind of a person I no longer want to be. That's what everyone's really just doing. So this means we change what it means to live on earth. It's no longer this, me against you. It is, I need you. You are showing me what it means to be a pure person of right intent with right kind of clarity. So this is now what he says. He gives or she gives up attachment to results of action. What is attachment for you?
I think it's having an expectation that your action will bring about whatever your expectation is.
Yeah. If you ever want to increase your happiness overnight, you know what you do? You lower your expectations. No need to read a whole book, a 300-page book on how to be happy. Lower your expectations.
I'm just having a different interpretation of this thing, this verse, in the sense that, if I'm a wise man, I realize I'm not the doer. And because I'm not the doer, I don't care about the results. It's que sera, sera. I'm only an instrument on behalf of Ishvara to interact with the world. So I'm just an instrument. So therefore, the results doesn't really matter. I'm not the doer.
I know this. Though the only issue, I'll counter this, to say that I don't care, you still are a doer to make that claim. So awareness is not a being who cares or not cares. Awareness is a different order of reality. And in the presence of awareness, there's still a person called Vig who always cared, because that is Ishvara's order. Ishvara's order, Vig, is infused with a dharmic order of harmony, to preserve himself and those around him. That's the natural law built in. So the question of caring or not caring is not even a question, because everything is within Ishvara's order. And Ishvara's order makes Vig's body do what is good for those around him, including himself. So in that way, when it says gives up attachment to the results of actions, what happens, another way to look at that is the buddhi that recognizes there's a certain order of reality here. The first order of reality is awareness. That awareness has no connection to the body and the mind, which is, of course, doing, right? And concerned about the results of actions, because you have to be relatively concerned about the results of actions. Otherwise, you wouldn't do anything. You see the other side to this story? If you are completely not concerned about the results of actions, is it possible to live? Would there be any motivation to live or to do anything? So that's what is the third aspect now, the third side to it. So not only can you take this as an absolute, like totally don't care, because if there's no care, then we wouldn't have teachers. We would all be eternally ignorant, because a teacher wouldn't care whether the student gets it or not. Imagine that. You didn't get it? Out. Next. Who would get it then? Thank God that the teachers care. So there has to be some involvement or some care in the results of actions. That's the first. The second is that, as we said, it is not entirely realistic that I insist that the results of actions must happen. That insistence, that must, that goes away. And the third way is that it's not really my part to play that I insist something needs to happen, because everything is happening according to a complex network of laws and orders that are operating for millennia. So it's not realistic to demand something happening, the person speaking to you, getting that job, getting that promotion, getting that raise, getting that friendship, getting that relationship in the exact way, because it's not going to happen. And I'm okay with that. Why? Because the wise person's buddhi recognizes that's not how life works, but also recognizes I have no real connection to what happens anyway. See the two sides? And also recognizes it doesn't give me a ticket to not do my part. It doesn't give me a ticket to ignore or not care anymore.
Thank you for the clarification, Andre. It's something to meditate upon.
I get some peace of mind knowing that my expectations are also going to change, because everything changes. So my thoughts change. In 5 years' time, my expectations might be different. So everything passes and everything changes. And there's so many added variables, like you said, that can influence how my expectations and results end up anyway. So it's that recognition of just everything changing anyway, including my own desires, my own expectations. I might not want the same thing in 1 year that I want now. And just that gives you a bit of relief knowing that everything passes anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't have that heavy expectation because you realize that it's all transitory anyway.
So this means even letting, this whole idea that I'm going to continue being this person, that's another expectation that might hinder you. You're not going to be the same person. Let me say that again. This person that you're enjoying yourself to be, that you love right now or not love, even that's going to go away.
So that's what I mean by the attachment. So that the attachment is just that recognition that nothing that I'm thinking right now is going to be lasting. That's also changing with it, with the whole order.
And the ultimate test for that, of course, is everyone has to ultimately let that person go. The person that you might be so attached to now, that person is ultimately, Ishvara says it's time to let him or her go. Body goes away. You see, so nothing can possibly stay here. So one might as well start to live like that, because Ishvara tells us the right way to live is that nothing really lasts. And if you cannot accept that, I will make you accept that when your body dies one day. So now I don't have to wait for the body to be taken away and go, oh, Ishvara, I should have listened to you. Let me listen to you right now, because all around me, I see death. I see, passion, and I see good people, and then I see next day they're no longer there. That means you were never intended to give me this body forever. Okay. what will I do about that understanding? Will I just fill the body up with dopamine, serotonin, cortisol? Or ask the question, what can I give back to you, Ishvara? You've been giving to me for such a long time. Let me give back to you because I have to face you one day anyway. And when I do I want to feel shameful and run away from you? Or will I face you with a big smile and say, hi, what do you got for me? I'm not afraid of you because I know that I live my life righteously, that my actions were well intended, and I am not afraid of you because I was aligned to your order as much as I could have done. Though I made some mistakes, I have no shame, Ishvara. Hi, what's next? Everyone's going to go through that moment. How do you want to face Ishvara, that important, crucial moment, with a big smile, with a healthy sense of welcome, a big hug, or hiding away? Uh-oh, I've done that, and I've done that, and I've done that, and now I'm bare naked, chilly red, embarrassed for not doing what was meant to be done. Let me run away from him. And you realize that is one moment when you cannot run away. Whichever way I run, Ishvara faces me there. Bare naked, my dear. Look at your life. Are you ready for another life? Do you think it's fair to let go of all bodies, or would you like to fix your thing now? And you say, no, I don't deserve videha mukti. I don't deserve that, not yet. I'm going to come back one more life because I didn't do what was meant to be done. My actions were not well intended. Ishvara doesn't make you come back. You make yourself because you're so in touch with Ishvara's program. Once the body goes, it's very clear to you. No, I don't deserve moksha. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my facts straight this time. So how do you want to be in that moment? Say, you know what? I worked hard. I've given the best I could. I have really done all I could. I've seen it all. No more, Ishvara. No more. I don't want a new body. No, thank you. I want you. Who made you do that? Not Ishvara. You made yourself do that based on how you are living now. And this is your opportunity. Being given a house, what will I do with that house?
Yeah, I think when we do our actions, if we think of peace being more important than happiness, probably our actions would be very different, I guess. Because if peace is the top priority, then many things you do with good intention or whatever would be different, is what I feel. If you value peace over anything else. And if you are peaceful, things around you also will be peaceful.
Exactly, exactly. And also, some of us may not relate to the word peace. Maybe for you, maybe contentment or just general okayness. Everything's all right. So, but we'll stick, peace is a nice word. So see, peace is your nature. It's who you are. That means there's no friction in your life. So this means, in what way am I living to, bring things back into that peaceful, non-frictious state? And that takes some effort. That's a constant effort that we have to engage in. So we have to be careful, like, where is friction in my life? Is there friction in my life? And with whom? And if there is, then you may not always, it doesn't always mean I have to resolve things with someone. It's not always the case. Sometimes you just have to resolve it in yourself. There's no question of going over there and working things out. Just resolve it in yourself. And that itself removes the friction. Because the friction of itself, it doesn't intrinsically exist. It exists in your mind. So as long as there's friction towards some object, some person, it shows me that there's some reframing space to do in my own mind. And it feels wonderful to unbuckle that brick, that bag of bricks that was pulling you down, not even knowing about it, because there for such a long time, it almost becomes a normal thing to have.
Just the statement that you just made, Andre, you know, when you've come to terms in life that you don't want this body, you don't want this life again, you don't want to be born, and you only desire Ishvara. Even that is it depends on how we think of Ishvara, isn't it? We think Ishvara is someone there giving us total happiness, total, you know, no problem life. So with that thought, when we go, I don't think that is also detachment there. There's no detachment. We're still desiring someone else.
Sure. I know.
So I question myself on that a lot.
Sure.
And
So
I try to come, yeah.
Sure, I understand. So that's another way to look at it. That's see, what I showed us was a poetical way of showing what is it that I want in life right now. The other side that you're saying is that even when I understand Ishvara's nature and my nature is one, then the question of being confronted by another being, like I said earlier in my poetical expression, there's no question of that. So again, I want us to really appreciate how teaching happens. It's never just one-sided, it's like this or it's like that. It can be from so many different sides because people relate to different ideas. But end of the day, if you want to be absolute about it, there is no second being to confront one day because everything is here right now. So there will never be one day. It's just change. And what is whole is already whole in this moment. So no, there will be no moment one day when I confront someone else. And if that does happen, that one to whom that happens is they're still looking at Upadi. Upadi, I'm one Upadi, Ishwar is another Upadi. So they're still giving reality to the Upadi rather than recognizing the Upadi is Mithya and I am Satyam. So you can see how instantly my language changes depending on what standpoint you look at it from.
There's also another inquiry in regards to the expectations when you do something. Now there's impulse actions. Just recently, a realistic incident here, not far from where I live, but 5 boys were fighting, teenage boys, and one of them were going to stab the 14-year-old. And a man from the supermarket ran across to stop, and he got stabbed quite badly. He's critically admitted to hospital, his critical condition. I mean, obviously he didn't have an expectation. His expectation was to save the boy.
Yeah.
And yet it completely turned the other way around. Yeah. So sometimes expectations.
Yeah, so it's a good example. So his intention was naturally to help out, but what happened was something very much different. And this is also a possibility. And see, suppose that does happen to one of us, then this is it would actually be a very good example of how extreme situations might happen, and you still recognizing that this is how life is. Okay, no one said that life is supposed to be 100% fair all the time. Even if your actions are well intended, you still are or might be on the receiving end. This is just how it is. And what to say about it is nothing to say about it. This is just how it happens. It can happen to any one of us. It happens all the time. You try to save someone and you get hurt badly. Okay, but remember this: everyone gets their bill eventually. The stabber gets their bill. Everyone's getting their bill. Everyone's getting their bill all the time. This is the system, and no one's outside the system. So now stories about what happened, who gets what, this is how it is. What to say about it? Now that it's happened, what will I do about what has happened? I can either develop bitterness and resentment and how the world is unfair and how God doesn't exist and how, he's so evil, or I can say, okay, I can develop empathy. This is the human ignorance, the human condition, how it's so complex and manifests as wars and unfairness and deception and using where the trolley was stolen, not stolen, but taken to get a little help for oneself. So you can see the kind of conditions that we go through. This is the human condition. So there's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just how it is. To try to explain the human condition, you will go crazy. It's not possible. So if you try to explain why all of these things are happening, these small stabbings and wars and fighting and territorial land gains, why you cannot explain it, it's too complex. All you can understand is my journey here is not to get entangled in other people's stuff. My journey is to work out my own stuff and help out in the light of my own small influence. What is your influence? That's where it stops. That's your social influence, your circle of influence. Now it says here, the jnani is always content and depends on nothing. And it says nitya triptaha, so always content. Two sides I want to say. The first, this is the absolute. The first why there is no dependence on anything is because there's nothing to accomplish. So Buddhi understands everything's accomplished. If the body dies, sure, there will be an unfortunate thing for those who care for this body, but it has no bearing on self. That's the first way. So knowing that there's nothing else to accomplish here than to know who you are, you don't depend on anything to add more to you or to subtract from you, because it's subtracting from the body. It's adding to the body. It's not adding to me. This is the first way to look at it. And it's not an attitude. You don't carry this as an attitude. I am complete. Nothing can touch me. It's not a mental attitude with a sense of pride. It's an unbroken recognition, unspoken recognition, unspoken and unbroken, that no matter what happens, it has no bearing on me. I am that which is already accomplished. That's the first way. But now, even if this is the case, I want to show you how you can still live with a sense of dependence and not even knowing about it, even if you have the knowledge, because this is why we say there's nididhyasanam after knowledge takes place. And what is nididhyasanam? It is clearing up those emotional lows that are still pulling you down and making it seem as if you're still held down. It makes you feel like you're not free. So look at this. One day, I was having an inquiry, walking in the park, as I do every morning, and something came to my mind. There is this tendency that I care to be heard by my family. I really want to be heard. I want them to hear what I have to say. I want them to recognize that I'm speaking from wisdom. And that really got me curious. It's like, why am I expecting this? Why is there this tendency that I care so much what my family members, my mom, dad, and my brother, think about me? I was really curious. And upon investigation, I discovered that it's got nothing to do with the truth being communicated. The reason is because the truth doesn't enforce itself upon others. The truth is eternal. The truth has no sense of impatience or a sense of I want to be heard. That's not so. I reasoned so that it cannot be that the truth wants to be heard. It has to be something else. And it was discovered it's actually the little child inside that wants confirmation that it's real, wants validation that it matters. Because you see, when as anyone who's got children, you know this, like so obvious because it's evident. You know that little children, they come with insecurity and they want to be seen. So every child has a recognition that I want to be seen. I don't want to not exist. Show me that I matter. It's like the wave who asks itself, hey, show me that I'm real. The truth is the wave is not real. It's only apparently real. Now the child is already somewhat in touch with this nature. That's why the child wants so much reassurance, because they know my true nature is the water, which doesn't need validation. But I come in this world as a single wave. Therefore, show me, mommy and daddy, that I'm real. Show me that I matter. Now, if the mommy and daddy told them, if they were jnanis, what would the mommy and daddy tell them? No, you're not. You're mithya. but the child is not ready for that, right? So the fact that children want this like idea of tell me that I matter, it shows you that they still look at themselves as a wave. This is because of that ignorance. So anyway, so a reason, okay. So it's not about my parents listening to me. It's really about that soothing the inner child. Because we never quite grow out of it, you see? We just sort of, life catches on, stages catches on, you get a girlfriend, boyfriend, you go into friends, you never kind of really work out your childhood stuff. It just sort of, it gets pushed down, replaced by other things in life. So it's not about communicating the truth, I reasoned. It's about soothing the inner child. And then I said, okay, but then why the same thing with my brother? I mean, I understand with parents, but why is it that when my brother says something, I have this need to say something back and tell him, no, this is how it is because I have speciality in this area and I want to correct you. And I thought, why is this? And okay, it's because I was a younger brother. And a younger brother in the family is, when you have an older brother, what does the older brother say? Oh, let me overwrite your opinion. You're just a small brother. You don't matter. I'm the bigger brother. Let me show you how it is. And I go, so it must be because that inner child feels overwritten, feels like they're being pushed down, like they don't count. Therefore, the inner child is both evident with parents and my brother. And so when you ask your brother or your sibling or your sister or your parents to accept you, please accept me. I don't want you to judge me. I just want you to accept me. I want someone to accept me. This was huge. I realized, no, it's not about being accepted. What you're really saying is I just want you to stop triggering that wounded, insecure child in me. Huge. Because why do you say to people, accept me? You say that to those who have something different to say. And you say, can't you just accept me for who I am? No, you're not saying that. You're saying stop triggering that child who feels disempowered every time you don't approve of him or her. The next question I posed was, because it's an inquiry, is what then do I do about this? I mean, that's the only question you ask. What will I do about this? And the answer is that I don't need this child to be heard by somebody else. This child, let him or her be heard by me. And so the mantra was, my dear child, in me, whoever you are, I see you. You are safe. You are with me. Always. I see you. You're safe. You are with me. Always. You matter. In that moment, do you know those moments where you feel a palpable change greater than the one you felt in the last 5 years collectively put together? This was one of those moments. An inquiry ensued. That's all that happened. I did not let that inquiry pass by. Immediately pulled out the phone, written it down, and I got curious. Why is this still the case with my family and not with anyone else? Therefore, when it says here, the person, the wise person, is always content, depending on nothing, it's very easy to take this and move on. But if you look deeper into the human psychology, there is always something that you are still leaning upon because you have not resolved it. I tell you, when I did this inquiry in myself, it literally felt like a bag of heaviness that I never knew was there, just lift off, just fall off. And it was so relieving to not even have any real concern of what family has to say or, of me being heard to the family. I'm not saying this has got nothing to do with, distancing. It just means becoming an individually strong person, a person who truly doesn't lean on those things that they never even thought they were leaning upon. And this takes some effort to inquire, what might you still be leaning on? that is evading you. Which is why even that one who knows this knowledge, they still don't feel free. Because in the unconscious, there are still some things they're leaning upon. Therefore, how can you give them nitya triptaha, contentment that is full contentment and constant contentment? See, even that word full is always relative at the level of the body and the mind. Because a wise person can say, I've got nitya triptaha, I am contentful, full. But then the moment I inquire into your childhood issues, which you probably not, most of them are not going to engage in, because even then ego comes up and says, no, I am beyond this work. I am beyond the work of psychology. And so most end up living in this state of artificial, right? Even though they're a genuine jnani, a wise person, they're still carrying a barrage of unconscious, non-worked through things from childhood. Which is why I keep on in this course giving you two versions of any statement. Not just, hey, the wise person is always content, depends on nothing, and therefore you should be like that too. But in reality, it's much deeper than that. Depends on nothing, so nirashrayaha, so their security or happiness depends on nothing, because there's nothing more, right, secure than the self. That's another way to look at it. And then finally, even though the jnani is fully engaged in action, he or she performs no action. Okay, so you see what is doing the action? The karta, which is the body and the mind complex. And see, once in a while, you have to remind yourself at the beginning that it's not really me who's suffering. It's not really me who's happy here. What is happy? It is the body-mind instrument. So this is also part of, right, journey towards wisdom. It's not just about, hey, one day it's all going to now work out, and suddenly I am, free of any kind of pain. You also have to start thinking like this, like the wise person. Once in a while, reminding myself, look, this whole thing of interaction, it's not really I who's interacting right now. It's called Andre interacting with Ellie. Two bodies, two houses with different attributes, different impressions, and let that be. So once in a while, we have to just remind ourselves, and it's very healthy also to do this, because it gives you proper perspective. And as you keep doing this, you become more and more familiar with, just that it's not this mystical thing that a wise person is in some kind of a different world and disconnected from this body. You are right here, still experiencing this body, experiencing the world. Ramayana, if you remember King Janaka was a wise king, but he was very much engaged in, that means he was enlightened, engaged in the kingdom, running the kingdom. So it shows you that you can even have someone that's very busy and stressed. It's not easy to run a kingdom, by the way. Stressed, and they're still very much free from the whole, work of, running the kingdom and all the governance and all the drama. You're still free from all of that. So that's also possible. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.